Behavior. Picture this. You're 18 years old, standing in your bedroom holding a thick acceptance letter from a university you've dreamed about. You can feel the weight of the paper in your hands. Your parents are beaming in the doorway. So proud. You sit at the kitchen table a week later, the smell of coffee in the air, signing federal loan documents with a cheap pen, your hand hovering over the line where it says, borrower. A behavior, you don't fully understand the terms, but everyone says this is what you do. You move into a cinder block dorm room that smells like fresh paint and anxiety, surrounded by strangers who will become your best friends. Here, spend 4 years there. The all-nighters in the library, the lecture halls, the bad dining hall pizza. You graduate. You get the frame for that expensive piece of paper, you land your first real job, and then the first payment hits your bank account, $943.30 gone. You try to buy a car a year later, and the loan officer tells you your debt-to-income ratio is a concern. You try to rent a nicer apartment, and the landlord sees that mandatory payment and offers you a smaller unit. Degree, that thing hanging on your wall in that frame you bought from Target, it starts to feel less like a trophy and more like a chain. But what if I told you that feeling isn't a personal failure? What if I told you that chain has a precise mathematical weight? What if I told you that for millions of people, that degree isn't an asset at all, it's a liability? And not just any liability, it's a special kind of financial instrument designed to systematically destroy your future borrowing power before you even get started. This isn't just about student debt being high. This is about your degree being bad debt that actively sabotages your financial future. My name is Bobby, and I spend way too much time thinking about how the financial system is rigged to extract wealth from ordinary people. If you're someone who feels that monthly student loan payment is a permanent, inescapable tax on your life, or if you've ever been denied a mortgage or a car loan because your debt-to-income ratio is too high, or if you've ever laid awake at night wondering if the 50-80 wonders or $100,000 you spent on school was actually worth it, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Because today, we aren't talking about the cultural value of education, we are talking about the balance sheet reality of your degree as a financial instrument. We're talking about why your college degree is a liability. Here's the thing about student debt. Conventional wisdom, your guidance counselor, your parents, the entire system tells you it's good debt. They tell you it's an investment in yourself that always pays off, that a college degree by default is an asset that appreciates in value. But that advice ignores a fundamental, brutal truth of finance. An asset is only an asset if its value exceeds its cost. And for a staggering number of graduates, the cost, the real lifetime holistic cost, dwarfs the value. The degree isn't an asset that appreciates, it's a liability that depreciates. You haven't just taken out a loan. You've walked into a financial trap that systematically cripples your ability to build wealth. Today, I'm introducing you to the core concept of degree-induced borrowing power erosion. Here, the academic research on this is crystal clear, and it's shifting the entire conversation. In 2021, a team of economists from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, led by researcher J. Maid, published a landmark study. They didn't just look at the college wage premium, the simple difference in earnings. They did something more profound. They calculated the net financial benefit after accounting for the true lifetime cost of the debt used to finance the degree. They treated the degree not as a cultural milestone, but as a line item on a balance sheet. And what they found was shocking. For the bottom 25% of earners, think art history, social work, education majors from non-elite schools, the present value of their lifetime earnings premium was actually less than the present value of their total loan repayments with interest. Behavior. Let me say that again. These graduates would have had more lifetime wealth, more net money in their pockets if they had never gone to college and never taken the debt. The degree created negative net wealth. It was a value-destroying transaction. Then there's a 2019 study from the Urban Institute that analyzed mortgage applications. They discovered that a household with $50,000 in student debt needed a household income $18,500 higher to qualify for the same median-priced home as a debt-free household with an identical credit score. The debt itself wasn't just a number. It caused lenders to discount your future. It made you a riskier bet. And a 2020 study in the Journal of Consumer Affairs showed that high student debt loads make individuals 40 to 3% more likely to fall behind on other payments. It's not an isolated debt, it's a risk multiplier. It's a crack in your financial foundation that makes the entire structure fragile. The synthesis of these findings is inescapable. A degree financed with debt isn't a simple win. It's a highly leveraged bet on your future income, and for millions, that bet is losing. The debt doesn't just sit there on your credit report. It actively degrades your financial resilience and capacity. This is degree-induced borrowing power, erosion in action. Now you might be thinking, okay, Bobby, that's a nice story about studies and statistics, but how does that apply to my actual life in 2025? Well, look around you. This dynamic is everywhere. Let me give you a detailed example. Meet Sarah. Sarah is 29 years old. She's a marketing coordinator making $67,000 a year. She has $58,000 in federal student loans at a 6.8% interest rate. She's been diligent. She saved $25,000 for a down payment on a $350,000 condo. Behavior, she goes to the bank excited, prepared. The lender doesn't just look at her $67,000 salary and smile. They run her debt-to-income ratio. Her monthly student loan payment is $658. To the bank, that $658 is treated identically to a car payment or child support. It's a mandatory, non-negotiable expense that comes out every single month no matter what. To keep her total debt-to-income ratio under the key 43% threshold most lenders use, the maximum total monthly debt payment Sarah can have is about $2,400. Now, subtract her $658 student loan payment, she's left with $1,742 for a potential mortgage payment. That math doesn't qualify her for the $350,000 condo she saved for. It qualifies her, at best, for a $275,000 condo in a worse neighborhood. The trap is revealed. She's not just paying $658 for her past education, she is simultaneously losing $75,000 in home purchasing power today. That's the real hidden monthly cost. Here's a medium example. Jake wants to start a business. He needs a $50,000 SBA loan. His business plan is solid, but his $820 monthly student loan payment slashes the gross revenue projections his business can support in the eyes of the bank. They see less free cash flow to service new debt. His dream gets downsized before it even starts. Quick examples: car loan, you'll get a higher interest rate. Credit card limit, it'll be lower. Personal loan for an emergency, higher chance of denial. Every single credit decision you will ever make is filtered through the lens of that fixed, inescapable monthly outflow. This is what we call the borrowing power tax. Your degree debt isn't just a bill, it's a continuous, systematic tax on your financial freedom and optionality. Let's perform a brutal audit of this. Let's make it painfully specific. Let's call this person Alex. Alex is 22, just finished a business degree at a private university. Total debt, $80,000 to $5,000 at an average 6% interest on a standard 10-year repayment plan. Everyone sees the sticker price, $85,000. That's the number he tells his friends. That's the number on his dashboard. But that's a fantasy. Let's find the real number. First, there's the interest siphon. A pure finance charge for the privilege of borrowing. Money that vanishes, creating no equity. The standard monthly payment on that loan is $943.34. Over 10 years, Alex will pay a total of $113,201. So the running total cost is no longer $80,000 to $5,000. Behavior, it's $80.50 principal plus $20 and $200 in pure interest. Total so far, $113,201. But that's the easy math. We all know about interest. Now we have to subtract the lost down payment. This is opportunity cost number one. That $943 a month isn't neutral. If Alex didn't have that payment, he could invest it. Let's use a conservative post-tax investment return of 5% annually. $943 a month, invested for 10 years at 5%, has a future value of $146,243. That's money that will never exist for Alex because that cash flow is going to the loan. So we add that $146,243 to our total financial impact. 5-year updated total. The $85,000 principal plus the $28,000 in interest plus this $146,000 opportunity cost equals $259,444. We're not done. Now we have to account for the home equity lockout. As we saw with Sarah, debt reduces mortgage capacity. Let's quantify Alex's borrowing power tax. His $943 payment reduces his home buying power by approximately $180,000 using standard lender ratios. That's $180,000 of an equity-building asset he cannot access. The opportunity cost of not having that asset appreciating at just 3% annually over 10 years. The foregone equity growth is $60,700. Add that in, new total, $259,444 plus $60,700, and it gets worse. Then there's the darkest category, the psychological and risk premium. This debt increases financial stress. It limits career risk-taking like starting a business or taking a lower-paying apprenticeship-style job. However, it may force you into a higher-paying but miserable job just to make the payments. Studies attempt to quantify this stress tax and opportunity suppression as reducing effective income by 5 to 10%. Let's take just 7% of Alex's $60,000 starting salary. That's $4,200 a year in lost well-being and opportunity value. Conservatively, over 10 years, that's another $52,800 in lost potential. So, let's add it up. Speak it out loud with me. Principal debt, 80% $5,000. Pure interest, 20% $8,201. Lost investment potential, 146% $243. Lost home equity growth, $67,700. Opportunity and stress tax, $52,800. The total 10-year cost of Alex's degree is $373,944. That's not a typo. $85,000 actually became $373,940. The degree didn't cost him a loan. It cost him a $374,000 financial headwind before his first day of work. Think about that for a second. And we haven't even touched on the scale of this problem. According to the Education Data Initiative, in 22,234, 44.5 million Americans hold federal student loan debt. The average borrower doesn't pay it off in 10 years, they take 20 years. A22 Federal Reserve Survey of Consumer Finances found that for households under 35, the median net worth of those with student debt is $30,000 to $9,000, for those without any student debt. $90,000. The debt doesn't just exist. It actively prevents wealth accumulation from even starting. A J.P. Morgan Chase Institute study in 2021, tracking real bank accounts, found that a $1 student loan payment reduces a borrower's monthly liquid cash buffer, their emergency savings, by 60 cents. Directly cannibalizes your safety net. This means the degree debt crisis is a permanent suppression of wealth-building capacity for an entire generation. And before you say, but Bobby, degrees increase earnings. The average premium is huge.
Yes, the average premium exists, but distribution is everything.
Top 20% of majors, engineering, computer science, capture most of the gains. The bottom 40% see minimal or even negative returns. We're giving financial advice based on Harvard computer science when most people are not attending Harvard for computer science. That's the equivalent of saying investing in real estate is always good, while handing someone $1 million mortgage for a house built on a sinking floodplain. The asset class isn't the problem. The specific, overpriced, underperforming asset is. This is where it gets really interesting. When you take on massive non-dischargeable debt for a degree, your debt-to-income ratio is permanently damaged from day one. Damaged DTI forces you to pay higher interest rates on every other loan you'll ever need: cars, credit cards, personal loans, mortgages. But paying higher rates on everything else leaves you with less disposable income each month, which makes you more reliant on expensive credit just to cover basic expenses, which further worsens your DTI and your credit score. Behavior. It's a vicious, inescapable spiral. You're running on a financial treadmill that keeps speeding up. It's like trying to fill a bathtub with the drain wide open and the tap only trickling. Behavior. One minor emergency happens. A flat tire, a medical bill, and then the whole system floods because you have no buffer. And here's what really gets me. The higher education financial complex relies on this exact cycle. Universities profit from you paying $50,000 a year for tuition they set, with near zero risk because the federal government guarantees the loans. The federal government itself profits from you being a reliable source of 6 to 7% interest payments for 2 or 3 decades. Your loan is an income-generating asset on their balance sheet. Private lenders and banks profit from you being a subprime plus customer for all other financial products, paying premium rates because you have no other choice. You graduate debt-free or with minimal debt, you're a bad customer for this entire complex. You don't generate decades of reliable interest payments. You don't need high-rate personal loans. You become a financial ghost to them, but you become the CEO and CFO of your own life, with a clean balance sheet ready to take on productive debt, like a mortgage for an appreciating asset. The system wants you to focus on the prestige of the school name, the college experience, the brand, because that emotional sell hides the balance sheet reality of the financial instrument you're signing for. This isn't just bad psychology or bad math. This is predatory. This is designed. This is a wealth transfer scam dressed up in a cap and gown. Now I can hear the objections already. Bobby, you can't put a price on education, the critical thinking, the life experience, the personal growth. And look, I get it. That seems noble and true. I am not attacking knowledge or learning, but you can put a price on the loan. You can put a price on the financial instrument. And when the cost of that instrument, the monthly payment, the interest, the lost opportunities, cripples your ability to start a family, buy a home, or save for retirement, you're not trading money for enlightenment. You're trading financial sovereignty, your future freedom and choices, for a credential. We need to surgically separate the value of learning from the catastrophic cost of the specific financing vehicle. You might also be thinking, but some degrees pay a lot. Doctors, lawyers, engineers? Absolutely. And this is about probability, not possibility. For every doctor, there are 10 psychology, communications, and general studies majors with the same debt load but a fraction of the income. Systemically, we are financing all degrees as if they're all medical degrees. That's the core miscalculation. The problem isn't education. The problem is financing non-appreciating, speculative assets with non-dischargeable high-interest debt and calling it a smart investment. So what do you actually do with this information? How do you escape the trap? Let me give you something practical. Strategy number 1, the ROI first major map, is choosing your path backwards. You start with the career and salary data, then pick the major, then find the least expensive school that credibly delivers that major. It works because it treats the degree as a purchase with a required return on investment. You wouldn't buy an $80,000 car without knowing its resale value. Don't buy a degree without knowing its earning value. Here's how to implement it. First, go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics website, bls.gov. Find your desired job. Note the median pay. Second, go to the College Scorecard website, collegescorecard.ed. Search for schools that have your major. Look at the median debt at graduation and the median earnings 1 to 2 years after graduation. Third, run the ratio, median debt divided by median annual salary. You want to target a ratio below 1.0, a ratio of 2.0, like $80,000 in debt for a $40,000 salary is a giant red flag. Fourth, community college for your general education courses is non-negotiable. It's the single biggest cost saver.
Example, you want to be a marketing manager?
Your median pay is around $138,000. Find a strong state school where the median debt for that major is $25,000 and early career pay is $65,000. Behavior ratio 0.38. Green light. Go for it. Strategy number 2, the debt service capacity cap. This is a rule for anyone currently choosing how much to borrow. Total borrowing at graduation to less than your expected first-year salary. It works because it ensures your standard 10-year payment will be less than 10% of your gross income, keeping your debt-to-income ratio healthy for other loans. Here's the implementation. First, research the realistic entry-level salary for your field in your region using sites like Glassdoor, the realistic one. Second, multiply that salary by 0.9.9, that's your maximum total debt limit. Third, if you're already over this limit, the plan isn't just pay more, it's a triad. Aggressively refinance if you can get a lower rate, target every extra dollar toward the principal balance, and explore income-driven repayment plans only if they strategically lead to public service loan forgiveness. Example, expected first-year salary is $55,000, max debt is $49,000. If you're at $70,000, your first financial goal is a $20,000 side hustle war chest specifically to attack that principal. Strategy number 3, borrowing power rehab. This is a credit rehabilitation strategy specifically for when you need a mortgage. It works because mortgage underwriters use specific, sometimes gameable formulas per implementation step 1, which sounds radical but works. See if a cosigner with great credit and a low DTI can take a private loan to pay off your federal student debt. If they do, that debt disappears from your debt-to-income calculation. You then make payments to your parent or cosigner, not to a loan servicer. Step 2, if that's impossible, switch to an income-driven repayment plan right before you apply for a mortgage. IDR payments are often significantly lower, which artificially boosts your DTI in the eyes of the underwriter. A word of caution, this will usually increase your long-term interest costs, so it's a tactical move. Step 3, save for a larger down payment to directly offset the weakness in your DTI ratio, driven by a behavior. But the biggest shift is psychological. You have to start seeing yourself as an investor in a financial instrument, not just a consumer of an experience. Behavior. You have to start asking, what is the internal rate of return on this debt? Every single time. You're not a college graduate. You are a financially viable human with a clean balance sheet and high future earnings potential. That's the asset. The degree is just one line item that should contribute to that asset, not sabotage it. Here's what I want you to do this weekend. Title it, My Personal Balance Sheet. On the liability side, list your total student debt, the interest rate, and the monthly payment. On the asset side, list your degree and your current salary. Now, run the ratio, look at that monthly payment, and ask yourself out loud, is this asset generating enough cash flow to justify this liability? That cold, hard, honest look at your own numbers is the first step to taking back control. I want to leave you with one final thought. This conversation isn't really about student loans or college degrees. It's about freedom. It's about optionality. It's about who gets to control the script of your life, you or your creditors. We thought we were building a future with a diploma, but for many, we were signing a contract that mortgaged that very future. Our grandparents' generation had access to high ROI, low-cost education. It was an elevator to the middle class. We traded it for low ROI, astronomical cost education. We swapped the elevator for a debt-loaded treadmill, running just to stay in place. The people who actually thrive financially today aren't the ones with the most prestigious degrees. They're the ones with the most financial optionality. They own their balance sheets. Their debt is strategic, minimal, and used exclusively for acquiring appreciating assets, not for depreciating credentials. You can't out-earn a bad balance sheet. A high income flowing into a bucket full of holes just means you're moving water faster. But you can stop drilling new holes. You can stop attacking your own balance sheet with liabilities disguised as good advice. You have the power to analyze this not as a life choice, but as the most important financial decision of your young life. To make choices not from fear or prestige or social pressure, but from data, from return on investment, from a clear-eyed view of your own balance sheet. Your freedom depends on it. You're not broken for feeling trapped by your loans. You're not stupid for signing the papers. You're rational. You played by the rules you were told would lead to success. This journey is unfair. It's hard. You were handed a bill for a promise that hasn't been kept. But once you understand your degree as a liability on your personal balance sheet, you can start managing it like one if you can stop it from consuming your future. If this video reframed how you see that piece of paper on your wall, if it sparked something in you, share this with one person who needs to hear it before they sign their next loan document. Smash that like button and hit subscribe for more content that challenges how you think about money and power. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.